Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
Bill Maher just shredded Bernie Sanders' 2028 hopes, and it was brutal. As talk of the 2028 election heats up, Bernie Sanders' name keeps popping up as a possible Democratic frontrunner. But Bill Maher isn't having any of it. On a recent episode of his HBO show, Maher unleashed a no-holds-barred takedown of Sanders, calling him too woke, too radical, and riddled with hypocrisy. Maher didn't mince words, laying out why a Bernie ticket would be doomed from the start. If you're into unapologetic political smackdowns, this one was a scorcher.
It was this week that the Supreme Court is looking at Biden's giveaway to people who own debt.
Giveaway is your term, not my term.
Well, they have college debt. Well, yeah. Okay, and we're going to give them money.
We're going to forgive debt.
Well, we're arguing about the same thing, but there's no argument. We're giving the money away. Okay, so I just want to read you this. And again, this is against why people sometimes, I think, question some of what you're saying.
Let's talk about the student loan forgiveness debate, but before we dive into that mess, take a moment to watch Bill Maher's reaction when Bernie Sanders tried to spin the language. Maher said the government was essentially handing out money to people with student loan debt. Sanders quickly cut in, insisting it wasn't a giveaway, but a forgiveness of debt. But Maher wasn't buying it. Same concept, same result, just dressed up in nicer words. And that right there is Maher's ongoing gripe with the left and obsession with phrasing instead of tackling the root of the issue. Anyway, let's keep the clip going.
This is a survey student loan forgiveness recipients. 73% of applicants say they are likely to spend their extra money on non-essential, including vacations, smartphone, drugs, and alcohol. They admitted that to the pollster.
Who is this pollster?
NBC News. 52% they are very likely to buy new clothing. 46% they would use the money for vacation and eat out at restaurants. This is why people have a thing about, I would never call it free money. Oh, I guess I just did, but.
Well, let me respond to that in two ways, Bill. You talk about giveaways. Under Trump, the Congress voted for $1 trillion in tax breaks for the richest people in this country and the largest corporations. That's a giveaway. We just increased military spending with very little discussion, I don't know if you know this, by $80 billion. Military industrial complex.
Including the Democrats.
Pardon me?
The Democrats vote for it too.
Yes, absolutely correct.
And honestly, he's right. It's rare, but I actually find myself agreeing with Bernie Sanders on this one, and it's kind of refreshing. If we're comfortable dishing out tax breaks and crafting loopholes for the ultra-wealthy, why is it so controversial to offer some relief to students just trying to get a fair shot at life? This isn't about freebies, it's about fairness and priorities. Students aren't begging for yachts or private jets, they're asking for the chance to start. Adulthood without being crushed by debt, the fact that we can subsidize billion-dollar corporations but balk at helping young people get an education without a lifetime of financial burden. That's beyond hypocritically, it's broken. If giving the next generation a real chance at stability is considered radical, then maybe the system needs a serious reality check. On this issue, Sanders is making sense.
But that's socialism, the military. That's crony socialism.
Well, that's
right?
Crony capitalism.
But the military isn't capitalism, that's the government.
No, but it's who owns the military industrial complexes. All right, but anyhow.
Right.
All right. So when you talk about giveaways, you have major corporations in this country that make billions in profit, don't pay a nickel in taxes. Billionaires have an effective tax rate lower than that of a truck driver or a nurse. You have a generation, you talk about this younger generation right now. I got around the country and I talked to a lot of people. You know, I don't know anything about that poll, but I can tell you, I've talked to nurses who are working their asses off, doing the right thing. They leave school $70,000 in that. They can't afford now to get married and have children. They can't afford the housing that they desperately need. So the truth is, you got a generation that, everything being equal, the younger generation will have a lower standard of living than their parents.